Good afternoon. My name is William Fleissig. I am the President and CEO for Waterfront Toronto. It is a pleasure to join the panel on transformative planning in a changing climate. Toronto is truly a global city. It is the fourth most populous municipality in North America, with a population in the metro of 6.1 million, with a workforce of 2.9 million people. It is a city of neighborhoods. We have 205 vibrant and culturally diverse neighborhoods. Toronto sits in the middle of major North American cities, including Chicago, Washington, New York, and Boston, which are easily accessible to Toronto. The city is growing and growing up. It has the largest number of high-rise buildings under construction in the world. Here you can see what the downtown looked like in 2005, and in just 10 you can see what the skyline is becoming, and reflects the growth of 500,000 jobs in the downtown core, which represents 33% of all jobs in the Toronto region. Toronto is the fastest growing city, with 80 to 100,000 new residents arriving in the metro area per year. There are over 150 buildings that are over 20 stories under construction right now. The people and jobs keep coming. Toronto is highly ranked. It is compared to other cities around the world. It is ranked number 1 for best cities to live in the world by The Economist magazine, number 3 for the world's best tech hub by Expert Market, and number 3 in cities of opportunity by PwC as well. The project that I'm describing is one of the most significant city building projects in the world. Waterfront Toronto was set up by the 3 orders of government, including the federal government, the government of the province of Ontario, and the city of Toronto, with seed capital of $1.5 billion in 2003. The area that you see here, approximately 800 hectares or 2,000 acres, consists of old, underutilized, and neglected industrial land. Much of it was created by decades of infilling Lake Ontario. Most of the area is owned publicly by the province, the federal government, or the city of Toronto. This project will take 20 to 25 years in order to complete. Just to give you a sense of the context, many of you are familiar with the Hudson Yards in New York City, which comprise approximately 12 hectares. The Canary Wharf project in London, almost 30 hectares. In comparison, Waterfront Toronto at 800 hectares is truly a massive undertaking. As I've arrived 8 months ago in Toronto, we see the opportunity for this area to become the test bed for new models and new methods in city building and climate resilience. We're calling it Waterfront Plus. It involves looking at prosperity, not only innovating jobs, but partnering to really develop the economic growth that is required not just in tech jobs, but also manufacturing. To look not only at cutting-edge solutions that can reduce carbon emissions, but really provide a high quality of life and a healthy lifestyle that people truly want to live in. To create neighborhoods that are complete, that have housing, great access, mobility, but also are inclusive, that serve all residents of our diverse population. It creates destinations that will have enduring value. Obviously, we want well-designed, beautiful cultural, recreational, civic, and public spaces, both for residents and visitors. Engagement. It's not enough just to involve people during design charrettes. We want to promote truly deep stakeholder trust. We want consequential feedback using robust data and interactive web tools. Our focus on climate change is really as a result of a lot of the increased flood and more frequent and severe changes in weather. The drivers include less snow and more rain in the winter, marked rainfall increases during the summer, extreme rainstorm events. We're looking at an average temperature increase of 4.4 Celsius. So we've seen over the last few years these severe flooding events. Flood protection really becomes primary to protect the downtown area. Just so that you know, we don't really have a water rising issue given the lakes because they are warming faster than the oceans, and actually we're seeing some of the lake levels drop due to evaporation. Our resilience strategies really look at green infrastructure with integrated sustainable systems. We've been looking at a lot of natural systems that combine parks and water filtration and new approaches, new technologies that create places to gather and to have fun. Here you can see the flood protection of the Portlands that in the West Donlands, that really became a lovely park of 8 hectares of clay and surrounded by 400,000 cubic meters of clean soil. This not only protects the West Donlands from flooding, but creates a 210 hectare area right next to the financial district. Corktown Common is the centerpiece of the West Donlands. This is a 20-minute walk to the downtown area. It once was amongst the largest wetlands in Lake Ontario, as you can see in this historic slide. It was created by an 850-acre brownfield that began infilling in the late 1900s to make land more available for industry and shipping. Yet it is underutilized with a designated floodplain that cannot be revitalized in order to reach the potential until the risk of flooding is removed. And here you can see an updated photo showing the Portlands area with the Don River coming to the south and intersecting into the industrialized area. This shows you the flood protection and the risk that prohibits any development. If there were a flood were to occur, the area infilled in yellow would be inundated by water. The area to the left that's outlined in yellow has already been flood protected by Corktown Common. So you can see that the downtown area has already been protected, and we still have another 500 acres to go. Here you can see the award-winning scheme by Michael von Valkenburg that will allow the water to flow more naturally and create gorgeous parklands along a newly created island called Villiers Island. These weirs that will be created can divert river flows during high-frequency flood events into the Keating Channel and reduce the effects of the erosive storm flows. Here you see a flyover showing the park along the Don River as it empties into Lake Ontario, with the Villiers Island being created, transit accessible, restored wetlands, parks, and open spaces that will mitigate the risks and costs associated with flooding. This new 1,000-meter river channel, 13 acres of new coastal wetland, and 4 hectares of habitat will result to create a vibrant, complete, and climate-positive neighborhood in harmony with the working port. The COP21 agreement, aiming to keep the rise to below 2 degrees Celsius, this has become front and center for us at Waterfront in order to try and find new approaches, new technologies, so that we can literally bend the curve. This will require us to approach development in a whole new way. You can see here the results of a recent sustainability audit comparing the waterfront to Ontario, Toronto, the Toronto City Core, and as you can see, currently we're on line to produce just under 4 tons per person per year of carbon. We have to reduce that quite a bit to hit the 2050 target to reduce by 80% by 2050. So we have a huge gap that we're working on at the moment. We've created a resilience and innovation framework that will allow us to look at new ways of approaching it and new ways of dealing with partners. We want to understand how we can look at not only our future, create a new set of values, and therefore translate them into practices that will create climate positive projects going forward. The final ring outlined in red talks about transformational projects, data-driven, values-based procurement, collaborative governance, and redefined funding models. This is going to become the hallmark for Waterfront Toronto going forward. We've created a resilience and innovation framework that will allow us to look at new ways of approaching it and new ways of dealing with partners. We want to understand how we can look at not only our future, create a new set of values, and therefore translate them into practices that will create climate positive projects going forward. The final ring outlined in red talks about transformational projects, data-driven, values-based procurement, collaborative governance, and redefined funding models. This is going to become the hallmark for Waterfront Toronto going forward. Moving forward with the Portlands Revitalization, we're going to implement the Villiers Island Sustainability Audit designed to passive house standards to reduce thermal energy demand, optimize urban form energy harvesting, maximize PV capacity, create district energy and cogeneration systems, and reduce car travel significantly and turn to autonomous vehicles. We are now working on new business models and partnerships and planning to create the new riverbed. One of the ways we're going to do this is by scaling up, starting with a pilot project called Quayside that we will be going to market here in the next 4 or 5 months. And as we learn how to produce the climate positive projects, we will then expand it to the Villiers Island and grow that and create larger districts. And then as we learn and iterate and create new forms and new technologies and new building approaches, we can then scale up to the Portlands. I urge you to visit our website where you can subscribe to our email newsletter and receive updates. You can learn much more about individual projects and find out how you can get involved. I look forward to hearing from you, and please come visit us when you come to Toronto. Thank you.